There we go. Oh, don't fall. And if you've got no other choice, you know you can follow my voice through the dark turns and noise of this wicked little town. That was Wicked Little Town from Hedwig and the Angry Inch. A couple of things to take care of at first. Well, first of all, hi, I'm Alanis, also known as the Atheist Tea Girl. If you're not seen Hedwig and you do not want any spoilers, please turn off this video now. In addition, if you're trans, please be aware that the play, and thus my video, will have some graphic descriptions of a botched bottom surgery. Finally, I will try to respect the pronouns of the main character, but as I hope to make it clear later, this isn't quite an easy task. So if you have seen the movie and decide that I got it wrong and I'm misgendering, please don't think it was intentional. I just feel that there's quite a bit of ambiguity in the subject. Recently, I got to see the play for Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I was given a free ticket so that I could take part in the play's house's community discussion. This theater tries to have discussions for the audience that covers what the actors had to go through for the play, and also to talk about, have people who are being represented by the play have a chance to speak more on the subject. I was chosen because I'm a trans woman. The IMDb description states that Hedwig, this isn't Hagrid, Hedwig and the Angry Inch is a transgender punk rock girl from East Berlin who tours the U.S. with her band as she tells her life story and follows the former love bandmate who stole her songs. It seems pretty cut and dry then. There in the description it says that the character is transgender punk rock girl. This is all I knew of the play before going to it. To be honest, before I was invited, I had heard the name Hedwig and the Angry Inch and thought it was a Harry Potter rock band in the vein of those like Harry and the Potters, the Mudbloods, and Ministry of Magic. I went into this expecting the story of a trans woman finding herself, but as the play progressed, that is not what I got. Now, please don't get me wrong. I love the play. Its songs and some of the scenes brought me to tears because I could see myself in it. But at the end, I was left with the question, is it a trans play? Before I get into the body of discussion, let me give you a short synopsis. Hedwig was born a boy named Hansel in East Berlin. Early in his life in Berlin, the wall rose. His father left very early in his life, and his mother is basically portrayed as an inconsiderate parent who only raises Hedwig because it's her responsibility. The only joy young Hedwig gets is from listening to American Forces Radio, where he learns to love American music, especially that of female singers. Fast forward to 1988, and Hedwig is sunbathing on his stomach and is approached by an American serviceman who mistakes him for a girl. Instead of being turned off when he finds out, the man starts up a sugar daddy relationship with Hedwig, which concludes with him asking Hedwig to leave Germany with him and go back to America. He will marry Hedwig, who has a feminine passing body and a wig, and will pretend to be a girl. The only hitch is at some point in the process, Hedwig will have to undergo a physical examination for the entry into America. His fiancée insists that Hedwig gets a surgery to pass this. A year later, the Berlin Wall collapses, meaning Hedwig gave up his manhood for just 1 year of freedom. We find that his husband left him for a man, and to top it off, Hedwig's surgery went bad. Instead of being a woman, he ended up with a bunch of scars, and if I understand the lyrics right, something that was supposed to be his clit, which he calls the Angry Itch. The hole that had been open to accompany the clit healed 2 days after the surgery was done and was closed up. He has been left in the middle of Kansas with a trailer, no money, and neither the genitalia of a man or a woman as it's traditionally defined. Darn, there's so much more I want to say about this, but let's move on because there's a lot in this. Okay. So this just started popping up on my screen. So he decides to be a punk rocker, finds a co-star, and the co-star steals Hedwig's music and makes it big. Hedwig is stuck doing small venue performances, and this is where the play starts. All of this is being done on a stage where Hedwig is giving a performance and talking about his history. The show climaxes with Hedwig having an onstage breakdown, stripping off his wig, wiping off his makeup, and performing in a mixture of male and female clothes, but mostly naked. With a man who dresses as a woman and who gets surgery to be a woman, so this is obviously trans, except it isn't. To give the cis writer credit, this was written back in the late 90s, and while America was making quite a bit of progress and starting to be open about homosexuality, we were still in the infancy of trans acceptance. And the description given above of a trans woman, a man in woman's clothing who gets surgery, might be the best we can expect of a trans woman, of how a trans woman would be described. Side note, unfortunately, it is still how we are too often described today. Yay! Today it's better known that there's more to being trans than the surgeries, the hormones, the clothes. Being trans is being the gender you are. The other thing are just tools to help you feel better about your gender when it's not congruent with the sex you were assigned at birth. And here is the critical distinction. Throughout the play, for most part, Hedwig does not call himself a girl. Instead, he describes himself as a young boy, a halfway stop between a man and a woman, and a rocker who presents as a woman. The first description we get of Hedwig is during the intro song, and it's sung by his husband. And its lyrics are, "Tear me down, Hedwig is like the wall, standing before you in the divide between east and west, slavery and freedom, man and woman, top and bottom." His husband, who is outside of the unreliable narrator we find in Hedwig, has problems defining what or who Hedwig really is. And right now, the non-binaries in the crowd are throwing up their hands saying, "I know!" And I have read some good arguments that no, non-binary is truly the meaning of the end of the play. It could be. I sort of disagree because I think the person who was doing this, the cis person who wrote this, didn't even know enough about trans to go for non-binary. I may be wrong. We later get Hedwig's description of a relationship with his sugar daddy. The song was called Sugar Daddy, and there's some lyrics in there that go, "Oh, Luther, darling, heaven knows I've never put on women clothes, except for once, my mother's camisole." This is a reaction to Luther asking him to dress as a girl while they were dating, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. Some trans people do dress secretly in their mother's and sister's clothing, but not all. And Hedwig describes it as Hedwig, not Hedwig, as a one-time thing. And later in the song, he makes it plain he is not becoming a woman because he wants to be one, but only because Luther, his sugar daddy, wants him to be one. Later in the song covering his botched surgery, and it's called Angry Inch. And can I say this is quite a frightful song to hear without knowing about it ahead of time if you're a trans person who eventually wants surgery? Yeah, I heard that, and at that point, I almost walked out of the theater because it was a little disturbing. Anyway, the lyrics in particular I want to go over is, "I changed my name and assume a disguise. I've got an angry inch." Looking back, he is not describing a surgery transition as a time where he finally became who he really inside or how he saw himself. He points to it as a disguise. "I am Alanis. No matter how far my transition I go, or what I wear, I am her. Before my transition, that was when I was wearing a disguise. If there's a part of him that was really me, he's dead, and I was never him. I am not a disguise, I am Alanis." After relaying how he ended up stuck in the middle of Kansas, Hedwig sings a song about the different wigs/disguises he uses over the years. "On nights like this, when the world's a bit amiss, and the lights go down across the trailer park, I get down, I feel had. I feel on the verge of going mad, and then it's time to punch the clock. I put on some makeup and turn on the stave deck and pull the wig down on my head. Suddenly, I miss Midwest, midnight checkout queen, until I head home and put myself to bed. There is 3 or 4 verses of this where he talks about his life, getting up, putting on a different wig throughout his time in Kansas, and taking on different roles. Checkout girl, a beehive woman, Miss Farrah Fawcett. But eventually, each verse ends with the words that he gets home, takes off the wig, and goes to bed, saying he goes back to being whatever he is. Then we get to the last verse of the song where he's singing about having finally made a decision. I put on some makeup, turn on the 8-track, I'm pulling the wig down from the shelf. Suddenly I'm this punk rock star of stage and screen, and I'm never turning back. The last verse is different from how he states he's never going to take off the wig, accepting what he is now. But no, he doesn't say a girl. He calls himself a punk rock, not a woman punk rocker or something similar. Just a punk rocker. Now, in a musical, sometimes a song or a piece of music will be repeated. This could be because the writer was lazy, but usually this often is to add emphasis to that song. In Hedwig, that song is Wicked Little Town. The fates are vicious and they're cruel. You learn too late, you've been used. 2 wishes like a fuel. Sorry, let me reread that. The fates are vicious and they're cruel. You learn too late, you've used 2 wishes like a fool, and then you're someone you are not. This is how the song is sung the first time through. It's pretty obvious here that post-transition Hedwig is not feeling like he did the right thing or even that he is Hedwig. Now, after his breakdown, he sings the song again, but some of the lyrics are different, including this. Because with all the changes you've been through, it seems the stranger always you, alone again in some new, wicked little town. It's sad. The boy Hansel grew up. He realized he's not Hedwig, he's not Hansel, and he has no idea who he is now. Now, while I don't think Hedwig is trans, and I don't think the play is trans, there is some themes that ring true with trans experiences. At one point, Hedwig finds his true love. During a passionate moment, he pushes his lover to kiss him, and they start making out, and the lover puts his hands down Hedwig's pants and finds the inch. The man was expecting a penis or a vagina, but instead finds something else, and he runs off. I cried during the scene because it's one trans people often worry about. Sometimes we're accepted, sometimes rejected, sometimes we're killed for it. This one scene is a powerful one, and if cis people take anything from the play, take the feelings you had at the moment and remember us, because for us it's not a play, it's something we have to go through. Anyway, that was my review of Hedwig and the Angry Itch. In conclusion, I don't think he was trans, but it was an interesting movie. Join me Friday. I'm trying to get my Kent Hovind video done. I might have to split it up into 2 chapters, because chapter 1 into 2 parts, because it's starting to get really big. And I don't want to make a 30-40 minute video. But I'm going to have one up on Friday, or something up on Friday. And I hope y'all have a good time. Please remember to like and subscribe and to click that bell. Apparently that's how you get more people to follow you or get YouTube to take notice of you. If you have any questions, please comment below. I'm happy to answer anything. And y'all all have a great day.